So a couple days ago, I made a video where I told you my top 25 favorite things that I bought in 2024. Today, we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell you my top 10 worst things that I bought in 2024. I'm going to try to not be super biased on like picking something cheaper over something expensive, but it just so happens that a lot of the cheaper stuff usually is cheaper in quality, and even then it isn't like, oh, this is worth $10. It's usually $10, but it's worth about $2. And if the things I mentioned on this list you are a big fan of, that's perfectly fine. Our opinions are going to be very different. There was stuff in the top 25 list that people disagreed with, and that's fine. So this is my opinion. It does not matter. This is just my thoughts on it, and if you disagree, that's great. Also, one more thing before we get started. This does not necessarily mean figures that came out in 2024. It is just figures I bought in 2024. Now, I tried to not pick major exceptions to that. Most of them are from 2024, but there are a few exceptions in the list. So without any further ado, let's get right on into the ranking. So in 10th place, I have Miku here. This is the wedding dress Nindroid here. And why she's on here is because, as you can see, the little base here, she does not actually connect to the base. And why I don't like that, and this is not necessarily a Miku problem, this is a quintuplet wedding dress Nindroid problem for 3 of them. They just don't stand on the base, and they are not very sturdy. I don't like that. And why I am critical on this and not necessarily on other things is because I just really don't like when they do this. And I'm going to talk about this more in another thing we'll talk about later. But it really kind of got really shown off here because Nindroids are pretty good about not doing this. They are actually pretty good about putting their figures on a base, or if they don't, they're very sturdy. But this quintuplet set was not that sturdy, and moving them, because I've moved rooms, I have noticed these fall off easier than really any of them. For instance, Tonikawa, I don't know if you can see it, it's right there, no, it's just off screen. That is a Nindroid that does not connect to the base. She's in wedding dress as well. But it's a much bigger, flatter wedding dress. This set just does not. And while the figure itself is quite good, I'm not going to try to criticize that very much. It just is, it's not that sturdy of a figure. Another complaint that I have for the whole set, it's a very basic set. They made this wedding dress line, I think, really just to make another line of quintuplets. Honestly, I get why they did it. I think you really could have done, you know, a swimsuit version, whatever. I do think this is not as good as the original line, and a multitude of different issues with it just results in a kind of a mediocre follow-up line to the quintuplets and Nindroid set. You ready to get controversial? So am I. So this is Marin, the freeing figure. And this is the only freeing figure on this list. And it's the most expensive thing on this list. I'm not happy with this Marin really at all. I think the face is very odd. It looks like Marin, but it just doesn't look good, if that makes sense. And I think while it's a solid bunny outfit, I do like the tie. I think having it kind of go off of her chest and then hang straight down, very cool. I like the unique design there. And obviously the body proportions look well done. But it's the face that really took me out of it for this figure. It's a more expensive freeing figure than most, so I was kind of hoping for more. And also, this is by far one of the worst bases that I have ever seen. Not the worst, we'll get to that, but this is an awful base because See, what's nice about freeing bases is that they're usually black. So even though they have these bars in here to make sure that the figure stands pretty firmly, you can't see these. But with this one, you can see them very, very easily. So what you end up with is, if you have this on a lower shelf to where this is going to be seen, it looks cheap, very cheap. Um, and I don't like that. I don't like for my figures to look cheap, especially figures like this. I want them to look really high quality, and that base detracts from it. That face just looks off. I have never really liked this Marin freeing figure at all since I've got it. By far the worst one that I got in 2024. Hopefully they don't make anything this bad ever again. So this is Takina, and this is an Aniplex figure here, and it is just bad in every way. So this is about, I made a video on these, and there's a Chisato one as well. Chisato is not on this list. I think Chisato, while she is bad, is not this bad. What makes this one so bad is that there is a lot of prize figures that I get, and there'll be some on this list here in a minute, but they are prize figures. I expect them to be mediocre or bad. And when they're good, it's a pleasant surprise. But when you pay the amount that these figures cost, about $40, you want it to be a step up from that. Obviously, it's not going to be like a scale figure. It's not going to be that good. But you can hope that it is at least serviceable. This is not. You have seams here on her jacket here. You have two of them there. They're quite noticeable because they're on the front and back. The face just looks off. I mean, it looks like it's emotionless. Not only that, but this figure, being that she has feet that are exposed, normally I try to kind of judge the feet on how well they're detailed. Same thing with like the fingernails and everything. And this is the most bland feet and hands that I have ever seen on a figure of this price. Just overall, a really cheaply made figure, to be honest, and I'm just not a big fan. Really not. Probably one of the worst figures of this like non-scale version figures that I have seen in a long time. Here's another controversial one. This is Tanjiro from the newest Demon Slayer wave. This is a really good mold for a pop, and I like it. It's well done. It's whenever he's in the Entertainment District arc. It's really nice. It looks cool. We got the flames going around him and everything. Looks really cool. The blood coming out of his eyes. I really like the mold. The problem is that this figure, it needed a base. It needed a base. Bad. Because I've tried tons of stuff. I can't. It's not like oh, you could press him down and then he might stand up. Oh, he did. Wonder if I hit the table if he'll fall over. Yep. It doesn't stand. And I put little putty things on his feet, and he stood up for about a week. And then one night, all of a sudden I hear a big crash, and he is fallen off the shelf, knocked about 3 other ones down with him. There you go. I'm not going to hate on Funko Pops the entire list. I do think a lot of them were good. There was one on my top 25. But this one, despite it having a really cool mold, it needed a base really badly because I cannot appreciate it if it cannot stand up, because otherwise I'm going to be judging it as that because that's all that it will do. I'm also going to give an honorable mention to the Pochita from Chainsaw Man because I had the same problem with that. It did stand up, but it rocked really badly. But enough of you told me that is a problem with my personal one. But I've seen multiple people say they have this problem with this Tanjiro, that he falls over. So I'm not going to really be kind for this Tanjiro. Number 6, Ruby from Oshinoko, the Nindroid. So there's a really good reason why this is on the list and not other Nindroids. This Nindroid did not need to be made. So this is her B Komachi outfit, and that's great. I love an alternate outfit. I bought the Miku here, and I don't dislike alternate outfits. The problem is this is the equivalent of if whenever we made the original quintuplet wave, if we made Ichika in her normal clothes, we made Nino in a wedding outfit, then we made Miku in her normal outfit, Yotsuba in her wedding outfit, and then Itsuki in her regular outfit. You're just making a line that we cannot put them side by side. What happened here is that they put her in the Bikomachi outfit, they put Kana, in her normal outfit, and now they don't work together. Because you can't have like, oh, I'm gonna put them side by side and it looks like they're at school. Or, oh, if she was in Bikomachi's outfit, then I could make them look like a little scene. So why am I being harsh on her but not her? Because they made Mimjo, who should have been in a Bikomachi outfit if this was the route they were going. They should have made all three of them. She's in her normal clothes. So you have two in their normal clothes, you have one in Bikomachi. And they know this is an issue because they're making a regular Ruby. They're not making the other two in Bikomachi outfits. They're making a regular version of Ruby. This didn't need to be made. All this is it was so that people would rush out and buy Ruby because they gotta have Ruby because Aqua was out, I was out, this one was out, Akane's out, Mimjo's out. All those are out. And so what happened is they're like, you gotta have Ruby too. And they let Ruby come out, this Ruby come out, then they announced the new one. This is not a bad figure, but I don't like the business practices that were behind this figure. That's why it's on the list. Into the top 5 with this abomination. This is Asuna from Sword Art Online. I don't like this figure, not necessarily because of the figure. Forget this. We'll set that over there. It's this base. This base. It don't even come across. My lights on my camera here just make this look so bad. But it looks awful in person too. Don't worry. So this is... And none of these things, it's nice whenever they make a little figure and they put accessories on it, but they have like little spots that they can hook in so they don't fall off all the time. Not this one, it just falls off. But this, that's hard plastic. Supposed to be like fabric? Nope, it's plastic. And it looks bad. And not only that, but you have this Asuna here, and you can't be like, okay, well, the base is trash, so I'm just going to sit her on my table. Nope. Because she doesn't sit down. So yeah, this was a disappointment. This is the one that I got in the mystery box from AmiAmi. And while the others were not great, like I didn't love the Evangelion one, this one, by far, the worst that I got in that set. It just was such a disappointment. I cannot emphasize how much I just disliked this thing. The reason it's not any higher is because, for one, I think the ones above this are worse, but I didn't really pick it. It was something that I randomly got. So I'm not really going to be that harsh on it because there's other figures that I didn't buy that I probably would have rated higher, but I didn't buy them because I wasn't going to give them money. And I got this one for a discounted rate because of the mystery box, so a few reasons why it's lower than it probably would be otherwise, but it's very, very bad. Definitely a top 5 in this list, no question. So my second most viewed video, or short actually, in 2024 was Mitsuri from Demon Slayer, which got about 50,000 views, which I am very, very grateful for. And I understand it. Mitsuri's a really good Nindroid. I love that Nindroid. It almost made my top 25. But my most viewed short, by far, at I think about 40,000 views now and climbing. It still gets views, like hundreds a day, is these two. The two twins from Mauricio and I don't remember his name. Yuichio, I think. It's these two. And I don't know why. I get they're popular. I get that this is really the only figure we have of him. But this figure set is bad. Like, really bad. The mold of the figure itself is not awful. The outfit looks good. The paint is good on the outfit. But the face looks... we're going to talk about this on another figure that is more obvious. And it's hard to get this across on camera, so bear with me on this one. But it looks very plasticky skin. I hate that. I like for the skin of a figure to look better than this. Both of these are quite bad whenever it comes to this. They look kind of greenish. As I call it, they kind of look like they have some sort of liver condition. But what I don't like about this more than anything is these big rocks. So these big rocks are what is their base. That helps them stand up. And you might say, well, how do they go in there? Do they have like a little peg or something? No. It's just a little slot that you slide onto their little foot, and that's it. If you watch the short, I haven't watched it in a little while, but I didn't know how to put these on. And what the short doesn't tell you is that I recorded like, it's a 30-second short that I recorded like 12 minutes worth because I read the instructions for this because I had to figure out how to put the base on them because I didn't know. If it wasn't for that short, they probably would be higher because I just find that base to be ugly and I don't know why it's a big rock. You could have easily just put a hole in their foot and base and it wouldn't be like that they are stuck on a rock, but this is just one that confuses me. Like, this makes me angry. This makes me angry. This is just like, why? And it just baffles me so much that it just... I would rather be angry and know why I'm angry than just confused every time I see them. And that's the way I am with these. Okay, so next up, we have this little knick-knack here. And it's just really confusing as to why anybody would ever... Wait a second. This isn't right. Hang on. This abomination is number 3. So I bought this as a joke, and it's not an official anime figure, and that's why it's number 3 and not any higher. I refuse to put it any higher because I refuse to make this thing number 1 in anything. But yeah, so I wanted to find out how good these figures actually were. A few companies had reached out to me for collaborations on like Twitter and everything. So I was like, I don't want to do any of those until I find out exactly how good they are. And so I bought one. This is my own money. I didn't get this for free or anything. I bought this with my own money. And I got this out as a joke, but these little things that you buy at, you know, roadside attractions of like, oh, it's the city of Omaha, or New York in this case. This has the same amount of quality as this guy. So this is Yor, and obviously the selling point for this is that you can take off her top, you can take off her bottoms, and then, oh, suddenly she's naked at the beach. Okay, but, and I can't show you this because it would get this video demonetized immediately. The swimsuit here. For one, the back, you'll notice she does not have any kind of back strap, and that's because the bikini broke while I was making the original video. And not only that, but you either have to pull it apart enough to be able to get it off without scraping her skin to the point to where it marks her skin. She has black marks all down her leg where I tried to get the bikini bottoms on her. But not only that, but If you go too much and try to get them off and not rub the legs, it breaks because it's so brittle. Official cast-off figures don't have that problem to the extent this one does. The Chizuru lingerie figure has cast-off functions, but it isn't so brittle that if you barely touch it, it will break. Not only that, but the face does not look like Yor, to be honest. The hair looks like Yor because that's what they designed it for. But otherwise, this is not Yor. It really makes no sense for Yor to want to be naked at the beach. It's not something that works with Spy Family. It's just overall a very gimmicky figure to get people to buy ecchi versions of characters that normally aren't ecchi. If you want to buy an ecchi figure, buy a binding figure. Buy a unofficial figure that you can see all their parts without having to risk breaking the figure every time. There's many options, and this is not a good one. Number 2, this little guy, the last Funko Pop on the list. This is, I'm going to call him Red Ripe because I don't remember his real name. Kirishima, I think. It's the red-haired guy from My Hero Academia. And this one is not necessarily the worst. Well, maybe it's the worst. It's not the worst, though, from this case, but it kind of serves as a catch-all for a line that I didn't like, and I never have liked ever since I saw them. This was before I even liked My Hero Academia, but it's this baseball line. They made a line of baseball pops from that series, and what I don't like about that is 2 things. The first of which is it takes away from what could have been other figures. And you can't say, oh, they're not hurting anything. They're just kind of repaints. No, these are all brand new molds. They are not based on anything else of like, oh, all they did was they just added a bat in. Nope, this is a whole new mold, and they wasted it on a baseball figure. And these things go for really cheap now because nobody wanted them. And then they made a figure of one that has no standard figure. So one of Class A, the main characters, doesn't have a standard pop, but they have a baseball one. Not him, one of the other ones. But it's such a wasted line. We did not need it. And not only that, but the other thing is that this outfit that they wear, the blue one here, and then they have the orange one as well, that orange and blue outfit is only shown in the poster for the OVA. Not in the episode, because in the episode they just wear their outfits, their normal hero outfits. In the poster, they wear these outfits. All I can imagine is that My Hero Academia gave Funko the poster and said, hey, if you want to make pops of this, you can. And then Funko's like, yes, we're going to do that. And then they made all these pops off this poster. And in the OVA, they're not in none of these outfits. And now nobody wants these things because it's one episode of a series that, an OVA that nobody wants. There's so many good ideas and good characters around that part of the anime, but they wasted them on stupid baseball figures. What a waste of time. Now, number 1. This was an easy one. Like, this is an awful figure. This is an awful figure. This is a waste of a figure. These are confusing. This is an abomination of a base. Yeah, corporate greed. Not planning how to make a figure. Cheaping out on a figure. Bad design. A lot of that. This is all of that put into one. Hatsune Miku's prize figure of the tan version of her. This is so bad. It's so bad. Her body goes from like a kind of orangish tan down here. And as you go up, it kind of turns more into like a yellow until you get to her head, into which it kind of turns into a bluish tan. How, I don't know. But yeah, so it's not that pretty. It's quite ugly. The face looks very bad. The outfit itself looks okay. Not great, but not awful. I'll give them that. The hair in the front here, you have this very light blue, then this very dark blue. She cannot stand on her own, so they have to give her this big peg in the back here that makes her look like she's walking on a cane. And then not only that, but the base is this very ugly, like clear frosted base that I just don't like. I would rather them just do a solid white base, but they don't do that. They give us this. So yeah, this was no question. Like, this is a figure that I just do not like. Ever since I got it unboxed, I was like, this is an awful, awful figure. But yeah. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you have any opinions? Do you think this is the greatest figure of 2024? Do you think The Rock is stupid? What was your least favorite of the year? Personally, this was mine, but obviously, like I said, this is all opinion based. Obviously, you can have different opinions than I will, and that is perfectly fine. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will have more videos throughout the year and leading up to next year's video. So stay tuned. Maybe you'll find out if there's anything that can top this list. Personally, I don't think anything can beat these top three. These are awful. But we'll find out. I'm sure I can find worse.